my name is Farah Firdos, and today I will share with you 2 essays and 3 short stories, all written by me. The first essay is about a human's mental state, while the second essay talks about stigma. Additionally, the 3 short stories are called Disha's Deja Vu with Dogs, Unsuccessful Attempt at Stealing, and College Regrets. But before I start, I want to share with you an idea I came up with regarding living daily life. Here is the idea. From today on, I will focus only on myself and everything else I will ignore. This idea is stating that when you go about your day, simply do what you have to do, such as eating, showering, studying, etc. Ignore your surroundings, such as sounds, movements, hurtful people, etc. This idea will prevent you from becoming crazy and keep you mentally stable. Now that I shared my idea with you, I will go on to share my writing. Here is the first short story. Enjoy. Disha's Deja Vu with Dogs by Farah Firdos, written on Tuesday, November 26, 2024. It was a beautiful weather outside on this Sunday afternoon in NYC. How wonderful it would be to go to Central Park, Disha Firdos thought to herself. This is especially because it was Bengali New Year 2024 today. Disha grabbed her journal, pen, and some snacks. She hopped on the train at Queens, and before you know it, she arrived at Central Park in Manhattan. It is so peaceful here at this park, Disha thought to herself. As Disha was writing in her journal, she lost a sense of her awareness of her surroundings somewhat. Suddenly, a big, furry, and tan dog ran towards her and started barking loudly at her. Woof, woof, woof. Hi Allah! Screamed Disha. That is because Disha has intense fear of dogs. What a psychopath you are! Exclaimed the dog owner. I'm sorry, ma'am. It is simply that I have intense fear of dogs, explained Disha. Why don't you have a leash on your dog, ma'am? Disha asked the dog owner politely and curiously. Well, there are several parts of Central Park, including this one, in which dogs are allowed to enjoy the park without a leash on, explained the dog owner. Sadly, Disha had no idea that was the case at all. Well, Disha Firdos was raised being told that dogs are forbidden in Islam, which is the religion she practices. And so, Disha didn't go near dogs all her life. That is why, when a big dog suddenly came less than 1 inch close to her, she got very scared. So, sad and somewhat horrified, Disha then went home. This better never happen again, but that's cool, Disha Firdos thought to herself. Well, life goes on, I guess, Disha then reasoned in her head. And so, she moved past this dog incident and moved on with her day as well as with her life. Months later, it was an ordinary day in autumn 2024. Yet, it was a beautiful weather outside on this Monday afternoon in NYC too. It would be wonderful to go to a park and sit down for a little while, Disha Firdos thought to herself. That was because it was the afternoon and also because Disha had a pretty exhausting day so far from completing some of the various tasks she set out to do on her to-do list of today. Disha grabbed her big backpack, pen, and some snacks. She walked to a park nearby and sat on a bench there. It is so peaceful here, Disha thought to herself. As Disha was looking at her to-do list for today, Monday, she lost a sense of her awareness of her surroundings somewhat. Suddenly, A big furry and black dog without a leash ran towards her and started barking loudly at her. Woof, woof, woof. Hayallah! Disha screamed. That is because Disha Firdos still had intense fear of dogs. I am so sorry, exclaimed the dog owner. I am sorry too, ma'am. It is simply that I have intense fear of dogs, exclaimed Disha. It would be good if dogs had a leash on them at all times, Disha Firdos thought quietly in her head. So, sad and somewhat horrified for a second time, Disha then went home. It is time to move past this dog incident and rest because I am so exhausted from a long day, Disha thought to herself. All right? Yet, she couldn't help but also think to herself, deja vu. Now that I shared the first short story, I will go on to share the first essay. Enjoy! Everything Has No Meaning by Farah Firdos. Written on Friday, December 20, 2024. There are a billion and plus stimuli in this world, and they all are meaningless. It is all hypnotism. Anything that you feel a meaning of in your head is your hypnotist, meaning you just got tricked in the head. This idea that everything is meaningless applies to the mental state of a human. You may have relationships with people such as your classmate, and that has meaning when it comes to your social life, which is different from your mental health and your mental state. Your classmate may be your best friend since kindergarten to 12th grade, and that has a tremendous amount of meaning. For example, the bond that is created between these two best friends have meaning. It has meaning. However, when it comes to the head, meaning mentally, everything is meaningless, everything is hypnotism, and everything is a trick on the head. Your best friend has a lot of meaning when it comes to your social life. Your best friend supports you, takes care of you, and so on. But when it comes to your mental health and your head, your best friend has no meaning because she is a hypnotist. Yes, in your social life, your best friend is good for you. She strengthens your support system. She allows you to socialize, have human contact, etc. Yet, when it comes to your mental health, your best friend becomes an enemy. She has no meaning. That is because she's a hypnotist who puts you in hypnotism, and hypnotism isn't only bad for you, it is very dangerous for you too. Hypnotism is dangerous because you become mentally asleep and mentally shut down when you are under hypnotism. You lose control of yourself. Your hypnotist controls you. The actions you produce under hypnotism are based on what you think your hypnotist wants you to produce. You become extremely vulnerable to danger under hypnotism because you don't even know you are producing the actions you are producing. So, the idea that everything is meaningless is a good idea to apply in your real life when it comes to coming out of hypnotism. If you consciously reject everything that comes at you in life, such as people, pain, money, sounds, movements, and so on, you will find yourself in reality 100%. But you have to reject everything. And that has to be everything, strictly everything. Only then will you be in reality mentally. However, anything you accept in your head and mentally, you will lose reality. You will suffer mentally in a hypnotic state. So this idea that everything is meaningless is a good strategy to use to come back to reality when you're feeling brainwashed and hypnotized by something such as a beautiful girl. And the goal is to always be in reality. Reality is the correct mental state to be in. Hypnotism is bad and is also dangerous to be in for a human. Hypnotism is the incorrect mental state to be in. Everything has no meaning. Titles have no meaning. Beautiful girls have no meaning. Friends have no meaning. Sounds have no meaning. Movements have no meaning. Pain has no meaning. Money has no meaning. Above are just a few examples of things that have no meaning out of infinite. The number of things that have no meaning are infinite. And it isn't only infinite but holy. One good example of the fact that everything is meaningless is title. Title has no meaning. A professional, a religious person, a family member, and so on all have titles. And these titles are merely hypnotists, accountants, imams, uncles, and so on are simply titles. There is no meaning in these titles. For example, just because a person has a title such as an accountant doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean, for example, that this accountant is suddenly all good. Yes, the title accountant is a professional one, and an accountant is supposed to be a good person. But in reality, an accountant simply knows how to provide the services of an accountant, and that is where it ends. Providing a service. After going home from working as an accountant, this person could potentially be bad who steals, for example. An accountant simply knows how to provide a service. Just because you're an accountant doesn't necessarily prove you to be a good human, which is what most people associate this title with, that being an accountant equates to being a good human. That isn't true. Title has no meaning. In the race of good mental health, you will always win if you apply the idea that everything is meaningless. And anything you give meaning to, meaning anything you don't reject and accept, you will always lose in this race of good mental health. Whatever you are confronted with as you go about your day, you must consciously reject them all. And that includes yourself. Yes, yourself. Even you yourself is a hypnotist for you. And that also includes good deeds and honesty. Yes, even good deeds and honesty are a trick on your head. Good deeds and honesty are good generally, yet bad for the head specifically. That is because good deeds and honesty are hypnotists that put you in hypnotism, and hypnotism is bad for you, very bad for you. Once you reject all things, you will be able to touch reality. And being in reality is good for you, for your head. You are safe and well mentally. Overall, everything in life is hypnotism and meaningless instead of being meaningful when it comes to your mental state. Reject everything that comes at you intentionally mentally. Only then you will be in the best mental state to be in, which is in reality, and free from the dangerous state of hypnotism. I hope you're enjoying my writing so far. Here is the third piece of writing by me, which is another short story. Enjoy! Unsuccessful Attempt at Stealing by Farah Firdaus, written on Wednesday, February 5, 2025. It was a normal day. Everyone was riding the train peacefully in NYC. Most people were going to school or work. Suddenly, a woman screamed, "Hey, give it back!" Everyone on that car of the train got scared. That's because a teenage boy was trying to run away with an Asian woman's cell phone that he suddenly grabbed from her hand while the train was in motion. The Asian woman looked like she was Chinese and in her 30s. She also looked very pretty with silky black shoulder-length hair and a beautiful peach-colored face. The teenage boy was slim and looked about 5 feet 6 inches tall. Because this teenage boy's face was almost entirely covered with the hood of his hoodie and a face mask, it was difficult to tell how his face looked like. Fortunately, the teenage boy couldn't steal this Asian woman's cell phone. She must have been very strong. That is because as the boy tried to run away with her cell phone, the Asian woman managed to grab her cell phone back from this teenage boy's left hand. Everyone on this car of the train was so relieved. Another passenger, a woman in her 30s, with her baby boy, asked this Asian woman, "Excuse me, ma'am, are you okay?" However, the Asian woman gave no reply. She was in too much of a shock to talk. She was grief-stricken and was trying to recover from what just happened. She angrily sat there riding the train and breathing very heavily with her eyes closed. This incident was a learning experience for everyone. People realized the importance of always being cautious, alert, and suspicious at all times. Anything bad may happen at any time. You may think bad things such as this happens to others, and it won't happen to you. and you may just be the next victim. All right? So that was a short story about stealing. And now I will share with you the last short story of this video. Enjoy. College Regrets by Farah Firdos. Written on Saturday, February 1, 2025. College life was one of the best experiences a girl named Hope Wright had in her entire life. She will never regret attending college, and she would recommend attending college to everyone. However, there are some things that happened to Hope in college that she does regret. Hope doesn't regret going to college generally. However, specifically in retrospect, Hope has a few but very important regrets of her college life. One major regret of Hope Wright's college life was the major she chose to study. That is because Hope's major didn't teach a skill for the most part. Instead, it mostly gave lots of knowledge. So even if she did graduate with a bachelor's degree, she didn't graduate with a specific skill much. And it is when a college student graduates with learning a skill that she usually gets a very good job. Hope wished she majored in something that taught a skill such as teaching or dancing. Then she would have come out of college prepared to work as a teacher or dancer, for example. That is because she would have acquired the skill of teaching or dancing. Hope Wright graduated with almost a 4.0 overall GPA. Yet, she learned no specific skill almost, you could say. What a big regret Hope had regarding the major she graduated with in college. Another major regret of Hope Wright's college life was that she was focused on college too much. For instance, Hope was so focused on getting good grades in college that she almost never made any friends. Instead, Hope put 99.9% of her time in studying, whether it was for midterms, final exams, or to write research papers. She didn't invest almost any time in her classmates, whether it was meeting new classmates or spending time with them. She regrets how she didn't create any relationships with her classmates because these relationships could have been lifelong relationships. Hope probably could have even met her soulmate if she did more socializing in college instead of almost always study, and study. Hope Wright really regrets her intense lack of socialization with her classmates during her college life as an undergraduate student very much. Moreover, Hope Wright really regrets how she focused on college so much that she missed out on other aspects of life as well as other things to experience in this world. Because of investing almost all of her time in college, Hope almost never focused on her family, such as her mom, dad, brothers, sisters, cousins, etc. Hope also didn't participate in other things during her time in college much either, such as going to parties, working, etc. Basically, Hope Wright focused on college so much she didn't do anything else with her time. For example, Hope would eat dinner almost always alone during her college years instead of eating dinner with her sister or mom, let's say. This was because that way Hope was able to study for her exams as she ate her dinner. Hope thinks about this now and feels so regretful. Lastly, Miss Wright also regrets how in college she didn't start building a resume. She only focused on getting A's in her courses. She was so passionate and eager to get good grades, but she failed to realize how important creating and building a resume was. Hope failed to realize that she won't get a good job simply with good grades. She failed to realize how she was studying in college, but she wasn't building a good resume simultaneously by gathering good references, getting a few good work experiences, etc. Miss Wright should have thought about that back then while she was so busy studying for exams in college, because even if she realized it now, she's unable to go back to the past and change her college life experience. What a major regret Hope Wright felt. Hope focused on college too much, even if she went to college for only 4 years. Some people attend college for more than 4 years, so they could get their master's degree, PhD, and so on. Some people attend college their entire life. Hope regrets how back then, during her college life, she didn't realize that just because you attend college, whether it's for a few years or for your entire life, that doesn't mean you stop doing other things. The sad case is that Hope Wright did just that. What a regret she feels now. The 4 years that Hope attended college, she kind of sacrificed her life in a way. Hope wished she realized it back then that she was missing out on life by focusing on college so much. Then she would have completed her BA in a totally different way. Regrets, regrets, and more regrets for Hope Wright indeed. Well, even if college is intense and each semester goes quick, everyone should participate in all other aspects of life too, instead of only on college life. Also, everyone should graduate from college with a skill instead of only lots of knowledge. So, pick a major that teaches a skill. And while you are learning that skill, if you want to get married because you found your life partner, go ahead. Or if you want to be a parent, have children. And if you found a full-time job, work. You could have a college life and do other things simultaneously. Don't wait to graduate from college to live your life, all right? So I shared 3 short stories as well as 1 essay with you so far in this video. I will end this video with my last essay. Enjoy. Stigma by Farah Firdos, written on Thursday, February 6, 2025. Stigma is defined as a set of negative and unfair beliefs that a society or group of people have about something. Notice how the definition includes the word unfair. That is because stigmatizing is wrong. Yet, stigma still exists in our society presently because even if it decreases over time, stigma may take place from ignorance. It may also happen when people are mentally unstable. One must not get upset when faced with stigma. You must understand that you are okay. You aren't the one producing the stigma, they are. They have to change, not you. You are simply the medium through which a person is producing a wrong action. So the person producing the wrong action, stigma must change. So live your life. And when you face stigma, ignore and continue to live your life. You aren't at fault or in requirement of attention. The people stigmatizing are, well, when you face stigma, you are in the hands of mentally unstable people, in street language, crazy people. A type of stigma is racism. Racism is defined as prejudice, discrimination, antagonism by an individual, community, or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is minority or marginalized. A race that faced lots of racism in the past and continues to presently is the Black race. For example, it is racist when people think of Blacks to be violent for no reason except for having Black skin color. Unfortunately, stigma happens in our society sometimes, such as racism and discrimination. Stigma has been evident all throughout history and all over the world. So if stigma is evident throughout some points of your life, it is totally normal. Stigma happens sometimes as it is a part of our society. It always existed and will continue to happen until stigma diminishes so much that it becomes eliminated from things through things such as advocacy. The good news is that stigma is diminishing gradually because people are coming out of their ignorance somewhat and becoming more mentally stable. In addition to stigma coming from having a certain race, stigma may come from your own family. Family may stigmatize against you for having a particular lifestyle or for having a specific trait that they don't like. Throughout history, all over the world, many people have been facing stigma from their own family. For example, some parents stigmatize against their children. It could be that they are uncomfortable with their kids. That is because the child may have something that the parent doesn't like. If a teenager turns lesbian, let's say, it is very likely that her mother will stigmatize against her and not accept her. The daughter didn't do anything wrong, but most likely will face stigma from her mother for being a lesbian. Unfortunately, lesbianism isn't accepted in our society much yet. Besides family, community folks may stigmatize against you too. Maybe you realize as a girl, you are sexually attracted to other girls. Yet, you will most likely face stigma from your community because society didn't come to that point yet, for the most part, for lesbians to be accepted by people. Of course, this is unfair. You didn't do anything wrong for liking other girls sexually as a girl that you are. yet you are punished and unfairly treated. Here is another good example of stigma done by community. A girl went to a nail salon to get a manicure, and the nails technician turned her away for no reason. There were no other customers there, and it was at 11 a.m. about. The nail technician was able to provide the service of manicure, yet didn't for no reason. What happened here? Stigma. Well, when a person is mentally unstable, they will behave in ways that don't make sense, such as stigmatize. It is your responsibility to understand and correctly judge and conclude when a human is mentally unstable. Instead of crying about being stigmatized, understand. You are facing unfair treatment by crazy people. They should cry, not you. You are normal. They aren't. That is why. Don't waste your precious time, limited time, and energy in this world feeling sad about something you have no reason to be sad about. The perspective has to be correct. You are okay. You are simply the medium through which a nutcase is living life. That is partly what it is. So be careful. Don't do self-harm. Don't feel hurt. Don't be ashamed of yourself for being who you are, whether it's being black, a lesbian, etc. Be proud of yourself. Love yourself. And if you don't know how to, and if others don't know how to do that, that's their problem, not yours. Finally, a victim of stigma may protest against stigma. They may express that it is unfair. They may further explain that stigma shouldn't be done against them. However, as the people stigmatizing are mentally unstable, they won't stop stigmatizing. They'll continue. Yet, it is in your best interest to ignore. The people stigmatizing haven't come to a mentally stable state yet, and so will continue to stigmatize against you even when they are told it is wrong. That is because these people are in a very intense mentally unstable state. Well, stigma is a part of society, and it won't simply diminish and be gone overnight. The amount of stigma that did reduce took lots of advocacy and time. One must be patient and put a lot of effort in bringing about change when it comes to stigma and reducing and eliminating it happening in our society. Hopefully, with enough advocacy, our society will have no stigma, whether it's regarding blacks, lesbians, and the entire human race. That is because all humans deserve equal treatment regardless of anything they have, whether it's a type of race, sexuality, lifestyle, etc. All right? Stigma is wrong. Well, I hope you enjoyed my 2 essays and my 3 short stories. Hopefully, you learned some things too that you may apply in real life, such as socialization, hypnotism, reality, safety, college life, and stigma. Remember, life is too short to suffer in a psychotic state. If you could come out of it, come out of it. Why don't you use my idea that helps me stay normal, which is, from today on, I will focus only on myself and everything else I will ignore. All right?